What's up everybody? In this video I'll be answering the most common questions that I do get all the time. I also did send a post on my social media saying that I'll be making this video. So a lot of you have reached out and asked more questions to be answered, so I'll be answering them in this video as well. And if you're new to this channel, my name is Omar Mohammed. I'm a real estate investor and a mentor, and I help people get started in real estate even if they have no money. So if you have more questions that I did not answer in this video, feel free to leave them in the comment. I will definitely answer them. So let's go ahead and get started. So here we go. So let's get started. First question I usually get is, what kind of books would I recommend or I did read when I was getting started? I actually was never a reader before I started investing in real estate. And then I read quite a few books that have had a huge impact on my life. I actually quit smoking. I used to smoke cigarettes and I quit smoking because of a book. So that made me love reading even more. So to cut it short, one of the really good books that I started with was Millionaire Fastlane. It was a great book. And I'll also have another video totally about just books. But Rich Dad Poor Dad is another great book for sure. One of the new ones, because when I was starting, I started wholesaling. It was, if you can't wholesale after death, I have nothing for you. And also Invest by Brandon Turner. That was a great book. Investing in real estate with no to low money down. These were all good books. And another great book that I read when I was just getting started is The One Thing. The reason I love that book so much is because sometimes when you're just getting started, you do way too many things, but you never do any of them 100%. And then one thing that resonated with me throughout that book, that it says, if multitasking is bad, because when you're multitasking, you're not doing either one. You're not giving 100% to either one, right? So and it also says trying to talk and walk at the same time, but then have the conversation being serious, you'll find yourself stop walking, because you cannot multitask and do both of them give both of them 100%. So it was really good that it talks about The One Thing. I would definitely recommend it. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next question. Best marketing strategy I should do. Should I call, text, mail, or should I do them all? This is another great question that I get. A lot of you ask me about, what is the best marketing strategy? I'll tell you something. A lot of these marketing strategies do work. You just have to get really good at some of them, right? And see where you're at in your life and what fits your skill, fits your budget, and do it. So as an example, when I was getting started, I didn't have a whole lot of budget. I barely had any budget. So I called myself. Now, some of you might not be comfortable on the phone, which is okay. You don't have to call. You can probably text. If you have more money, it's not that expensive, but it could add up. If you have big lists, you can send mail. You can send mail. There's also, great ways. Like there's people that do TV ads, and there's a lot about it. But that's of course with a big budget. So it really depends. My recommendation is first start with calling or texting. It's easy entry. It teaches you a lot. Yes, it's harder, but I want you to think about that. If it's harder, there's not a whole lot of people doing it. Also, if it's free, there's a lot of people doing it. So these are the two things. So if it doesn't cost any money, there's probably a lot of people that are trying to do it. But if it's hard, there might not be a whole lot of people trying to do it. So that's why I feel like probably texting, a lot of people do it. But cold calling, a lot of people source it out or have VA for that. But I personally say, again, when I started, I cold call. So what is the best strategy? The best strategy is what most fits your budget or fits your lifestyle and you're most comfortable with. Again, even if you're not super comfortable on the phone, you can start training yourself. You could have a lot of skills on the phone that you just don't know it yet. And I do teach that as well with a lot of my students, what to say, how to overcome objection. And a lot of my students or a lot of people that I work with, I find out they have a lot of potential on the phones. They just, were worried, or, after you do a few calls, it becomes natural. Okay, so how long will it take before I find my first deal? That's a great question. It also depends. Are you trying to wholesale? Are you trying to get your first rental. It also, all that depends on, there's no right answer. If anybody out there tell you like, I guarantee you'll find your first deal, within a week, 2 months, three, there's no right answer. It might take you a few weeks. And I have some students that found a deal right away, like within a few weeks, and I have some that it took them a little bit longer. It all depends on a lot of different aspects, just like the marketing. It depends on your budget, it depends on your time, and it depends on the effort that you're willing to put in. But I'll tell you something, if you go into the Facebook groups right now, you're local, and you find people that are getting deals, that means that they're out there, right? Once you see nobody's buying real estate anymore, nobody's finding deals, everything, then it's impossible. But it's really very, very easy, very possible. It's not the easiest, especially in this market, but it's not that complicated. It's not that hard to find a deal sometimes now. So I'll tell you something about finding a deal, because this is a very important subject. I can't remember where I read that, but one time they were asking somebody, where do you get most of your how he was a gold mining business, so he would always dig and find gold. They were asking, how do you know where the gold is at? He was like, I don't. The eye got trained. I'm trained enough that by looking, I would know where the opportunity is at. It's the same thing. In the beginning, you might know how to structure a deal, so might not see the opportunities, but once you up to that level and you start scaling and learning and getting the knowledge, you'll start seeing deals in a lot of different places, or know how to structure deals. Even if there was no gold there, you would know, okay, if I go and negotiate that number or go make it happen in that way, there might be a deal. So back to this one, is how long will it take? It depends on all the work you're willing to put in. I found my very first deal, I believe, within like 3 months. It was a little bit longer. I also was working a full-time job, and it took me a little bit longer. There's some people that find deals faster than that. Some of my mentees found deals faster than that, but it took me about like 3.5 months to get my very first deal. That's also starting from nothing, no knowledge. Okay, next question, should I save some money first and fix my credit before I will start looking? It's another good question too. That tells me like you don't have a plan. You don't know what you're looking for. So if you're looking for a house and you're looking for a deal, of course, having credit, having some cushion, having some money definitely helps and speeds up the process. But I didn't have either. I didn't have money, or I didn't have like a really good credit. I had decent credit. I started working on it a little bit, pay some of the credit cards off, but all depends on your lifestyle and where you're at. Yes, you can invest with no money and you can invest with low credit, but it's just harder. It makes it more difficult. These are leverages, but you still can. If you're just wholesaling, you don't need either one, right? But if you're getting your first rental and you don't have money, a lot of hard money lenders will probably want to look at your credit. But again, even if you don't have both, you can find a partner. And that's why networking is very, very good. And you can flip it, or, find somebody that maybe partnering with you and get the money. So we'll keep going. Something I wish I knew before I got started. That's a really good question. I wish I knew it wasn't as easy to find skilled people do work with good prices. I thought it would be, okay, big project, it will be fast, but just like any business, finding good labor that is, with good pricing and honest. I've been blessed that I met great people, but in the beginning I did not know, right? I was just easy, like, okay, sure, like how long will it take? Just the rehab, the rehab was one of the big ones. I also maybe thought it was harder than it is. It's not as hard. Here's something I always tell myself, like if it's not gonna kill you, there's no way you're gonna go into anything and be perfect at it. Just the mindset. It's okay to do mistakes. It's okay to learn, and just keep going forward. But if I wish I knew that, I would have loved to know that it's really hard to actually lose in real estate. There are some ways, don't get me wrong, there is ways but you can go buy property off on the market, same price, you didn't have any equity, and I know people that do that, and then rent it, pay the mortgage, in 30 years, they have it for free, pretty much. So it's like, there's so many ways that you can invest and make money, and I wish I know, like, okay, it's not as hard as I thought it might have been, because there's so many ways you can get a house with equity, you can get a hard money, you can wholesale. But again, even if you did nothing, all what you did is you paid 20% down regular, got a house, put a tenant in there, the tenant paid the mortgage. Even if you didn't cash flow, even if you made no money monthly, they just paid the mortgage. In 30 years, you have a house. So I'm not saying go ahead and do that, but again, it's really hard to lose money if you know what you're doing. It's really hard you might lose money on a rehab. Maybe you spend so much on a rehab, you're way over budget, you miscalculated this, you miscalculated that. But what's the worst gonna happen? You still have a house that's probably beautiful. It has good value. Somebody can live in it, and you learn. So there's no mistake that will like kill your investing career unless you very when just jumped in, put all your money in something you don't know, and it's very rare where I see that happen. But if you on the wrong track, and probably none of you are here because you're watching, you're listening to the video, you're watching, and you're asking questions. So let's go to the next one. Do I need to show proof of funds? So if you're, yes and no. If it depends on like what kind of deal it is. So if you're going after something that is on the market, a lot of times they will ask for like proof of funds or approval letter from the bank. So, and there's ways to get that. There's ways you can get proof of funds. So you can go to, let's say if it's not on the market, you can go to a hard money lender or go into a lender that's going to lend you and just ask them to give you a proof of funds, soft proof of funds they call it, that would let us say they approve properties up to if it meets their standard. So there's another question that I do get a lot. What if I can't find a buyer? It's a good question. I would say you should always be transparent with your buyer, right? So when I was just starting, I would say, I love the house, I love the property, I think we can make something work here. I do believe we could, but I would want a few days inspection period just to make sure there's nothing I haven't seen, and always keep communication with your buyers. This is a question that I probably get from a lot of new wholesalers, and I would say just make sure you are communicating with your sellers, and just be transparent with them. But if you find a good deal, it's really hard not to find a buyer because everybody looks for a good deal. So if you learn how to find good deals, you will find a buyer. I will buy it, right? So just make sure you train and you know what you're looking for. Best place to find deals is the deals that not everybody's willing to put the work to chase them. So I would say usually driving for dollars is a great one. Building relationship with people that refers people to you, those are definitely going to be better deals than if you're just pulling a list or doing what everybody else is doing. Do I need an LLC to start? There's a video that I posted with my CPA. You do not need an LLC to start wholesaling or investing in real estate. But again, also I want to say none of this is a legal advice or an accounting advice or financial advice. I'm just giving what worked for me, and you definitely should reach out to your legal company or legal attorney and your CPA as well. Can't seem to get ahead. Any advice, or give me one advice if I can't seem to get ahead? So with this one, I would say think about it this way. If you're doing the same thing and it's not working, maybe try to change things a little bit. But what I would say is you're not trying to reinventing the wheel. You're not trying to create something brand new. There's a lot of people ahead of you that have already done that. Just surround yourself with those people. I believe it says you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. So see who you hang out with and change that. So if you want to become an athlete, have your friends all be an athlete. You will become an athlete. If you want to become a real estate investor, start watching more about real estate, reading about real estate. Go to your local meetup groups and investor groups and meet some people who already are wholesalers or bought few properties, and start asking where do they find the deals at. So if somebody already say, okay, I have few wholesalers that brings me deals and the numbers work, you're like, hey, I would love to meet them and connect with them. And people usually trying to help each other, especially when it comes to real estate. So make sure you connect with people, reach out, go to the groups, and start introducing yourself and make everybody know you're chasing your first deal. You're looking for few deals, and listen and add value to people, they will give it back to you. So if you have any more questions that I did not get to or I did not answer, I believe I answered all the questions that were left in the comments in my social media, but feel free to drop them in the comments below. I will answer them. Everybody have a great rest of your day, and don't forget to subscribe and follow me on social media.